Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is a video series 1, part 5. In this part, I would like to share with you some examples. What does the new philosophy theory mean for the social sciences? One of my motivations to start this new book was to get a better understanding on the original wills of the mankind and the social will of the human society. I looked at the universe at first, then the solar system, then the earth, then the living beings, then the mankind, and finally the human society. This sequence enabled me to avoid the bias of the human society, also the bias of myself. I wrote a big chapter on the 4 original wills of mankind and another big chapter on the 4 social wills of the human society. They have become the foundations for my further works in social sciences. I wrote a new book on the philosophical foundation of the states. I will share with you some highlights of this book in video series 3. In this video series, I will share with you some examples of what the new philosophy theory means for social sciences. In the new philosophy theory, the mankind and the human society are two different things, each with its own basic properties, being governed with their own 4 wills. The mankind is what we really are. As shown in the left, the mankind doesn't have any purpose. The mankind has its own basic properties being governed by its 4 original wills. The 4 original wills of the mankind are inherited and developed from the 4 wills of living beings and the 4 wills of the universe. They drive increase in diversity. The 4 wills of living beings drive also increase in diversity. It means that the original wills of the mankind and the wills of the living beings drive for the same trend. On the other hand, the human society is what we intended to be. As shown in the right, the human society does have purpose. The human society has its own basic properties being governed by its 4 social wills. The 4 social wills of the human society are created by the human society to increase the social efficiency and social stability of the human society. They drive a decrease in diversity. The 4 wills of the universe drive also decrease in diversity. It means that the social wills of the human society and the wills of the universe drive for the same trend, namely decrease in diversity, or the trend towards the death. I don't know whether this is a coincidence or something very fundamental, but I think it's wrong. There's no reason to push ourselves to extinction. This slide summarizes the wills of the mankind and the wills of human society. On the left is the list of the features of 4 original wills of the mankind. The 4 original wills are The original will of individual happiness in quadrant 1, the original will of individual efficiency in quadrant 2, the original will of group efficiency in quadrant 3, the original will of group disaster in quadrant 4. On the right part is the list of the features of the 4 social wills of the human society. The 4 social wills are the will of virtual individual happiness in quadrant 1, the will of virtual individual efficiency in quadrant 2, the social will of group efficiency in quadrant 3, and the social will of group disaster in quadrant 4. One should be extremely careful with the words in this 2 feature list. The words in the list are popular words in a society. They have been given many different meanings. To reduce the chance of misunderstanding, I linked every feature in the list to certain human behaviors in my book. If you would like to use the features of this on these 2 lists, you could read my book, The Principles of the Universe, and the book, The 3 Categories of Human Behavior. Here are some key properties of the original wills of the mankind. First of all, the 4 original wills of the mankind are reasonably balanced. This is because it is inherited from the living beings. They have a kind of self-balancing power. One of the consequences is that the features of the 4 original wills are finity. The original will of individual happiness and the original will of individual efficiency are responsible for happiness, love, and creativity of everyone. The original will of individual happiness is responsible for keeping everyone energetic. The original will of individual efficiency is mainly responsible for self-development of everyone. I called this will also as the will of moving upwards. A unique property of the original will of individual efficiency is that it can only be excited and fully utilized in a challenging and competitive environment. This property is the common property of the will of individual efficiency of the mankind and of the living beings. This property plays the key role in the evolution of living beings. Here are some key properties of social wills of the human society. One important thing is that in the social wills of the human society, the original individualism of the mankind is replaced by virtual individualism. Therefore, we must be very careful with the word individualism. Individualism is a very popular word in today's society, but in many cases, it really means virtual individualism. You can see the difference between the individualism and the virtual individualism from one's behaviors. The social will of group efficiency is the lead of other 3 social wills of the human society. The will of virtual individual happiness and the will of virtual individual efficiency are two special representations of the social will of group efficiency. The social will of group disaster is the consequences of the social will of group efficiency. Because of this, the four social wills are not balanced. They don't have self-balancing power. This has some far-reaching consequences for the human society. For instance, the features of the four social wills could be infinity. And we should also keep in mind that social wills suppress the original wills. On the other hand, the operation of the modern society is based on the four social wills. I will discuss this in my book, The Philosophical Foundation of the States. Everyone in a modern society has, in different degrees, the four original wills and the four social wills. The four original wills of everyone is inherited from one's parents via DNA. They are reasonably stable for everyone. Everyone learns the four social wills from the society. Therefore, they are unstable for everyone. When someone accepts the social wills, his or her original will is automatically suppressed. The more social wills one accepted, the more his or her original will is suppressed. This has some consequences. For instance, someone who made some social achievement may feel satisfied, but also paid a price of losing part of his or her original love, happiness, and creativity. I discuss this kind of phenomena in my books. In my book, The Philosophical Foundation of the States, I did some analysis on the benefits and the drawbacks of the social wills and their trade-off for the mankind and human society. I will share with you some highlights of this book in video series 3. In my book, The Principles of the Universe, I made some comparisons between different living species. The analyst reviewed that the extinction risk of the mankind today is higher than that of dinosaur before its disappearance. See the table. The human being needs some social wills to increase the social efficiency and the social stability, but the usage of social wills is nowadays extremely excessive. It has some far-reaching consequences. For instance, not the people, but the efficiency and the technology are the lead in the human society today. People lost partly or fully their original love, happiness, and creativity. Philosophy, natural sciences, and the social sciences are in practice dead. The reproduction of a human being is affected. The mankind has stopped with the natural evolution and is moving towards its extinction. I should point out that technology development will not save us from extinction, because it is also driven by the social wills of the human society. The extreme excessive usage of social wills is the real problem. This is the worst conclusion I got during my research in the last years. I felt during the research that I should do something for social sciences. First, I established a zero reference for all social sciences. This is done with the four original wills of the mankind and the four social wills of the human society. The separation in the properties between the mankind and the human society enables people to see what the society should do and should not do for the mankind. I proposed a new set of morals. It respects the original wills of the mankind and adds some social wills to increase the social efficiency and social stability. I explained the basic assumption in a conflict in psychology. It is conflict between the original wills and the social wills that one person has. I set a guide for education. The biggest challenge in education is to keep as much as possible the original wills and the comprehending capability of the student. I established a new theory of the states. It is based on the four original wills of the mankind and the four social wills of the human society. This new state theory redefined some popular social concepts. I will share with you some highlights on the new state theory in video series 3. With this remark, I would like to close part 5 of video series 1. Thank you for your attention.